Has my cancer treatment been delayed again? Is the radiation machine broken? What have the doctor and the nurse said about how the treatment is going? And has the inspiring letter to my English teacher got a reply? And why is Liz in pain too? What's going on? Come this way, through the curtain of blurred colons, to find out. Welcome to my YouTooSpain video diary number 16. Hi, Skatz here. I know who you are. It's Friday, April the 5th, and this is video diary number 16. A friend in Computer said to me recently, "The battle is all in the mind." I am the battle. Very wise words. So when I got a phone call from the hospital's radiography department on Tuesday to say the machine is not working today, so don't come in for your appointment, I managed to stay quite calm and remembered the doctor saying a few weeks ago that every now and then the machine might not be operational. It's either repairs or updates or recalibration, something like that. Somebody's got it in for you. So I'm looking at the positives. I'm quite glad they called me before my lift arrived. In fact, he hadn't even set off from his house. That's even better. Living an hour away from Malaga and aiming to get there half an hour early means I'm probably the furthest patient away in terms of time, and I need a couple of hours' notice. And that's what happened. Hooray! This week then is looking like a 4-dayer, so we've moved the last treatment date one day further on in the diary, and I've set my mind to expect a few more delays and changes to the programme, because that's what happens. The doctors have to play it by ear or by scan when it comes to Freddie. I don't like doctors. Now, a bit of potentially disastrous news. Liz went for a checkup at the health centre yesterday because she's been having pains. So they did an ultrasound and there's something there which could be kidney stones, but doesn't quite look the same. That's what they said. There's something else they pointed out too that looks a bit suspect. So they've referred her to the hospital that I went to first in Valles, Malaga. Could this year get any more scary? If she needs an operation too, or a course of treatment and an operation, if it's more serious, that could put her out of action too. The timing couldn't be any worse. I'll keep you informed. In the meantime, if you could support us with a donation to keep us both afloat, we would be most grateful. Thank you so much. The link, as usual, is below. Oh, am I stopping you working? What a shame. Now, the same friend I mentioned earlier who told me the battle is in the mind advised me to only watch happy films from now on instead of the news and programmes about psychopaths, which Liz and I have been watching quite a lot of recently. I don't know. Well, they are interesting. Anyway, I've lined up loads of Disney cartoons and I'm not going to apologise to any of my cynical friends or anybody else for that matter. Cartoons? You ponce. Funnily enough, on Tuesday, after he'd given me that advice and finding I had the evening free to catch a movie, Liz and I watched part 3 of The Hobbit. Yes, because we'd already watched part 1 and 2 at the weekend. Now, part 3 is called the happy title of The Battle of the 5 Armies. And, well, it's not a comedy. No. In fact, there are more decapitations in that film than any other film I've ever seen. And there's plenty of dark moments and emotions too. Still, I managed to survive with my mental health intact. Decapitation? That could be arranged. Oh, I saw the doctor on Monday after my treatment and the nurse on Wednesday and had a blood test, and between them they gave me an update of how it's all going and answered all of the questions we've been writing down in anticipation. I'm not sure why we're seeing the doctor and the nurse, because they were both giving us information and maybe we could just go and see one, but I'm happy to see both of them. That's lovely, and they're all wonderful people there anyway. So, good news. Yes, there's good news. And that is that it's all going according to plan. The blood tests were fine. No need to change the dose of anything. They didn't have the scans. I think the nurse was saying they get processed in Seville. But although he couldn't say that Freddie was shrinking for certain, if he was, it would only be a small amount per day anyway, and he wouldn't expect to see much difference yet.
I ain't going nowhere.
More good news. My caca. Woohoo! Yes, that's the word they use. It's becoming more solid. Yippee! I asked, well, through Chris, of course, my awesome friend and translator, about the colour of the caca. Because you would, wouldn't you? Because it's yellow. Yes, it's yellow. And the nurse said that's because the tablets are yellowy orange colour. Well, they're more a kind of reddy pinky colour. But anyway, there's all kinds of coloured stuff in the tablets, and also because there's less blood. So there's bound to be a change of colour. So all is well there. That's normal.
Did someone say blood?
We also asked about the stomach protector tablets, and he said I should have one of those per day. I said I've been having 2. It did say that on the instructions in the box. Anyway, he said no problem, but just take one from now on, and if I feel at all sick, they would prescribe something else for that. And Liz tells me that's called an anti-emetic. There you go. So they're going to give me more of the stomach protector ones anyway if I need them. I'm not sure how many's left in the box.
I'll protect you and your stomach for a small fee. It would be such a shame if anything should happen to it.
Speaking of tablets, I had already taken the 3 chemo ones on Tuesday before my treatment was cancelled for that day. So we asked whether not taking one that evening was okay. And it was okay. And also, what would happen now I'd had that extra dose, because I'll run out of tablets on the morning of the final day now. And he said, wait until the final week and count how many are left, and then they'll give me what's missing, because there's no point prescribing just one dose now. They can't do that anyway. And also, in case there are going to be more days when the machine isn't working and they have to do it again, that would be just a waste of time and a waste of a prescription. May as well wait till I've almost run out and sort it out then. I also asked about taking paracetamol because I've had the occasional one for the pain, and he said that's completely fine. It doesn't interact with anything else I'm taking. Marvellous.
Got a bit of a pain, have you? Can't imagine where that came from.
So that's what the doctor and nurse said. Now it's time at last to give you what I promised a few weeks ago. The letter I sent to my secondary school English teacher thanking her for inspiring me. I'd been waiting for a reply, and guess what? Yesterday a lovely card came through with a handwritten message of thanks. I'm very, very happy. I'm going to read you my letter first, then I'll read you her reply. And then I'll sing you the song that's mentioned in my letter. Here goes then. Her name is Yvette. I wouldn't have called her that back in the day, of course, but I felt it was such a personal letter, I just had to. Right, here goes. Dear Yvette, I hope you don't mind me writing to you out of the blue like this, but I've been searching for a way to get in touch with you for many years to say thank you for inspiring me when you taught me English at school. What you did for me has had a considerable influence on my life and the person I have become. I would be more than a little surprised if you remembered me after more than 40 journeys around the sun. But perhaps when I relay what I remember from all those years ago, a spark of recognition may reignite that light in your eyes that I remember so well. And I do. Let me take you back to the autumn of 1980. Yes, I'm that old. When my class, 5.2, funny numbering system, had just finished their early English language O-level exams. Yes, I took them in November when all of the other exams were later on. You chose the end of the following English lesson to hand out a poem for us to take home and write about, without giving us any further instructions. I don't remember with certainty which poem it was, though I like to think it was The Jaguar by Ted Hughes. Let's run with that. Reading it now evokes the same emotions I felt back then. I took the poem home and found myself completely drawn into it. Writing about it was a joy. I found every word a world in itself, on which I stood and understood, shaking with the same bang in the blood in the brain that the jaguar's ears heard. Sorry, that's bang of blood in the brain. Got to get it right. That the jaguar's ears heard. A long week later, you handed out to the class their marked essays, but didn't give me mine. Instead, you stood at your desk and held it in the air, proclaiming, "Last week I asked you to write about a poem. I didn't teach you how to write a poetry appreciation, but this is a poetry appreciation." Remember it like it was yesterday. So, before I give you some pointers about how to write one, I'm going to read you Andrew's essay. I had to give it 20 out of 20. I was at once hugely proud and very embarrassed, but mostly proud, as you read out my thoughts and emotions, allowing me to relive the experience. At the end of that lesson, you gave us another poem, and the following week a very similar scene played out, only this time when you held up my essay, you said, "I didn't think Andrew could write a better essay than last week's, but I've been proven wrong." I had to give this one 21 out of 20. What a swot I was. Once again, you read it out. I really have no idea what the second poem was, but that's a lot less important than what you said to me at the end of the lesson. As the bell went and everyone began to leave, you called me to your desk and asked me what A-levels I was planning to take. That's the A-levels at age 18, by the way, for those of you. They've changed the name of it now. I don't know what it's called. And anyway, I answered almost automatically, the same as my brother and my dad and my grandpa. Chemistry, physics and maths. You drew in a breath, leaned very close to me, your eyes gleaming with mischief, and said, "If you don't take English, I will hunt you down and kill you." I laughed all the way home. I was released. I was that jaguar that felt the world roll under the long thrust of my heel. And over the cage floor, the horizons came. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My family moved home the following summer, and at my new school, guess what? I chose English, music, and for some reason, economics. Well, I wanted to do history, but I was told I couldn't because I hadn't done it for O-level. That's the age 16 exams. As if that really mattered when you're so excited by a subject. Oh well. Anyway, I went on to study performing arts at university in Leicester, and after some disastrous but necessarily mentally colourful years, I began writing poetry and broke away from ordinary employment to become a self-employed musician, actor, writer and entertainer, eventually persuading the Arts Council of Great Britain to give me a large grant to collect stories of inspiration from the multicultural communities around Leicester and create a musical one-man show. At the beginning of that process, I was interviewed on BBC Radio Leicester to tell them my story and appeal to community leaders to invite me to meet their people. I told them all about my own inspiration, my English teacher at school, and sang a song I'd written all about you, especially for the show. I'd like you to hear it, but since that isn't possible in a letter, I'll leave you with the lyrics and my undying thanks once again for lighting the blue touch paper on my firework. And I signed it, yours in inspiration.
Shut it, you ponce.
Now, here's what I got back from Yvette. I'll read you only the relevant parts because she talks about some people we both knew as well, and that won't make any sense to you. So here goes. Dear Andrew, it was a lovely surprise to hear from you, and I was very touched that you remembered me and thought I had a positive influence on you and your career. It's always good to know that you helped a student get a start. When I left home to go to university, I went to Leicester, where I enjoyed a very happy 3 years. It was a good place to live and the people were very friendly. It's a small world, a cliché but true, as clichés often are. It's been 12 years since I retired and I treasure fond memories of the school, both as a student and a teacher. Thank you very much for getting in touch and writing such a lovely letter. Best wishes, Yvette. How delightful is that? And I didn't realise she'd been a student at my school too. Such a coincidence she went to university in Leicester as well. Probably not the same one though. Mine was the Polytechnic. Or at least that's what it was called when I was there. It's a university now.
Not clever enough for a real university, are we?
Would you like to hear the song I wrote for my appearance on Radio Leicester? No?
No.
I'm going to play it anyway. I recorded it earlier. I've rewritten it ever so slightly to bring it up to date. Just for you. Yes, you. I mean, there's no one else watching, is there? Here's the song. When I was just 15 years old and green as any cabbage, with no idea of what I'd be, my English teacher asked of me, what subjects will you take, young man, before you leap that bridge to go to university? What path is there for you to see? Well, I looked into my head, my adolescent head. I found there wasn't much in there except the need to stay in bed. Now back through generations, all my family preferred science, but I hadn't found the confidence, get up and go or self-reliance, to go against the trend of doing what I was bred to do. So I told her I'd take chemistry and maths and physics too. My teacher turned a shade of purple and some sparks shot out her ears. And what she said has stayed with me through all my time and all my years. She said, I will hunt you down and kill you, hunt you down and kill you, I will hunt you down and kill you if you don't take English, boy. I've seen the words inside you, I know science won't fulfill you. I'll hunt you down and kill you if you don't take English, boy. Yes, I've read what you have written, the bug has got you bitten. I will drown you like a kitten if you don't take English, boy. Poetry has got you smitten, it's better than religion, so I'll crucify a pigeon if you don't take English, boy. And I know that's bad, but I wanted your attention to inspire your inspiration. Stand up to your relations, set fire to your creation, be a beacon for the nation, write a song of revelation. If it wasn't for my action, then there might not be reaction. Then she turned and she was gone, my English teacher lady, and now I'm singing songs of inspiration on the YouTube. Did you enjoy that?
It ain't exactly Sinatra.
Whether you did or not, it's about time I wrote another one for you all. So send me some random words like you did last time, and I'll create some beautiful poetic lyrics. Well, that's really all for this week. Next week, I'll have even more exciting things to tell you, including what to do with my fingernails, because there's something happening with them. I'll tell you about it next week. Tune in next Friday to find out, with another thrilling episode of Feck Off Freddy.
Shut it, you toe rag.
Keep your fingers and your toes crossed, you lovely people. As always, raise your drinking receptacle with me.
Still alive?
And of course, let's do the cancer dance.